bad.
You're too hard on yourself.
No, let's use Reggie's.
All right, I have to remember which one it is. Which one is it? Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mind Gap podcast stream.
You got to give me a warning on that.
Yeah, as you just...
I was about 3 seconds away from unleashing something.
Justin just put his butthole away, so
yeah,
you're lost. You're a loss, America and Internet, you know?
You got to be a Patreon to see the pre-stream.
Right? You got to join the OnlyFans to get the 2 knuckles deep, you know?
That's right. We call this one the apricot starfruit.
I want to show this to everybody on our give me a second. If you're watching this right now, I want to show you something Slotty just posted in our Discord, which you should try to join at some point. All right, never mind, this isn't going to work, is it? Probably not. I don't know what in the fuck I'm doing. There we go. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What channel is it in?
It's in the 1 second here. I moved my windows around. It's in the memes and media one.
Okay. Now, what is that channel for again?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. So I just posted this. British people, when you call it soccer and not kicky, boppy, fiddlefuck. There's a picture of a strange creature.
Yep.
Makes me very happy.
Like it.
This is the kind of cool shit you could get access to if you join our Discord. The world is your oyster. Link is in the description down below. Check it out. But yes.
I love that other one he posted. What if your debit credit card had a yearly wrap-up like Spotify? You bought 243 Crunchwrap Supremes in 2019. You frequented Taco Bell at 2 a.m. You spent $753 on coffee this year.
Yeah. It's very special.
Yeah, it would not be good.
Yeah. Especially for me, like, back when I was working at a former job, it'd be like, this is how many times you used your debit card to get Mountain Dews at the vending machine. I'm like, ugh. That was like, oh my God, I'm tired. I have to get jacked up and get ready to facilitate a class. Time for some, because I got a Mountain Dew on accident. I got a twofer. I got both a Pepsi and a Mountain Dew, came out at the same time. And I was like, well, I'm just not going to throw it away.
Right.
I haven't had this in a long time. Let me test this out. How bad is this? And the worst part was, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it. And that was dangerous. It really wasn't as bad as I remembered it being.
Now, let's throw it down between Mountain Dew and Mellow Yellow, because those were essentially the same. They were competitors, right?
Yeah, I think they still are. I mean, competitors. I haven't had Mellow Yellow in a long time. That definitely was back in the Missouri days, where I think I preferred Mountain Dew to Mellow Yellow, but I honestly...
They sell a lot of Mellow Yellow up here.
I was like, Surge! Oh!
That was the other one I was thinking of. I'm like, what was the... Because Mellow Yellow was to Mountain Dew what Mr. Pibb is to Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
And there was some more...
Or if you want to call Dr. Thunder, which is the Walmart off-brand of Dr. Pepper.
Right. Dr. Thunder.
Dr. Thunder! I remember buying a pallet of that my freshman year of college to bring into my room. We didn't have a refrigerator, so it was just a warm pallet of Dr. Thunder, and it was the first time I was like, where do I get water? There was like, I don't know, figure it out. There wasn't like a water fountain around or anything like that, so I just drank soda like nonstop whenever I was thirsty. And I remember I got like a free physical, and they're like, your blood pressure's really high. You probably need to get that checked out. Come back to us. I was like, it's probably because I've just been drinking soda, sugar, like straight up sugar soda nonstop for like 2 weeks.
When you first met Jill, did you lure her back to your dorm by saying, do you want some warm Dr. Thunder?
No. I lured her back with my belly dance.
That's fair.
That's right. You don't have to say to that, do you? Pow. Pow, 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 pow. Ha-cha-cha-cha.
That's how he lured me onto this podcast, for those who don't know.
With my belly dance.
Belly dance.
All right. Let's get this party started. And we are recording. And 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And Merry Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happiest of all days of turkey consumption.
If you're watching this the day that we release it on the YouTubes, it's Happy Black Friday, I guess. And you're a piece of shit if you're participating. I'm just going to say it.
Doug dropping some hot takes early.
Why? Why is the world, are the deals that good that you got to go and fight for consumerism? I feel like Slotty right now. I'm just like,
you got to wait till Cyber Monday and feed the Amazon machine, Doug.
Right? Cyber Monday, and then get your favorite hentai at 50% off, you know?
Bingo. See, this guy gets it. He's done it.
Zinni says, meow, meow. Hey, Zinni. Hope you're well. Yeah, Black Friday is, I've never participated. I've never physically gone to a store and been like, I'm camping out. It's time to get that TV that I wanted. That's, whatever. No.
Right.
Even when I was younger and I had time, I'm like, this is a waste of time.
My mom, grandma, and aunt used to go. I'm fairly certain when we were younger, they used to go, and I want to say 1 year I tagged along. I don't have vague memories, possibly because I got a concussion that day, but it was never something. I never understood it. I just never. You see all the videos and shit. I know that's not everywhere, but it's not a pleasant day to be out. I'll tell you that much. Even if you don't have even if you're not a part of a viral stampede, you're still probably not having a great time out there.
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago, I was back in Missouri, and it was around this time I was hanging out with my family. And I went to Walmart to pick up some stuff, and there were already people that were lining up in the stores.
I'll tell you your first problem there.
Going to Walmart in Missouri. I mean, that's a twofer right there.
Yeah.
And there was like sections of the store where they were like, if you want to wait in line for this, and people were already lining up. I'm like, it's 6:00.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, or it was like, I don't know what it was on Thanksgiving. I was going there to pick up a couple things, I think, or whatever.
Lining up the day before. Yeah.
And people were just already, I'm like, guys, it's not even like evening.
They camp out at that shit. Yeah.
It's crazy. I'm like, and for what? And it's always bothered me. It's always been gross to me that it's like, this is what you're going to do to buy something? Right. The amount of times, like on Amazon Prime Day or whatever, I always show up and I'm like, what is it do I want? Like I will browse through and I'm like, I don't have anything in mind. I'm also the worst to buy. Actually, I'm either the worst or the easiest to buy gifts for, because I'm easily, my bar is low. Yeah. You buy me some food, or you get me something, just some little trinket. I'm like, yay! I don't need anything. Like I'm very easy to buy for in that regard. At the same time, they're like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Right. I don't need anything. It's like, it's not about what you need. I'm like, yeah, but that's how Practical Doug processes it. So I'm a pain in the ass that way.
When I was younger, it was easy for me to go through. I'd just take a catalog, just start circling shit or dog ear the pages. As I got older, I fell into that where my mom's like, well, I need some ideas for myself, for grandma and grandpa, for our, aunt, uncle. Like, we need some ideas. And I'm like, cash?
Just stop.
I don't know. Like, I truly don't know. Gift cards, so I can buy my own things when I'm ready, because I don't have anything in mind at the moment. And I know that's a shit thing to say, but I've never been the same. Like, the Amazon day comes around and I'll do the same thing. I'll hop on and I'll peruse, but I'm like, I don't feel the need to just that ravenous need. I've got to pick it up because it's a deal. And I don't know if that's just because I don't like a lot of clutter around my house. You know what I mean? Like,
I want to tell you a story.
Please, Doug.
I want to tell you a story about a friend of mine who has a problem. And this friend of mine, in my opinion, is the person that falls prey to, well, it's on sale, so we need to buy it. Mm-hmm. Regardless of whether or not you need it, regardless of how much you already have in stock. I'm going to give you a number that is not made up. All right?
Okay.
I want you to guess right now. I want you to guess how many boxes of Crispix cereal this person currently has. I want you to ask. I want you to guess. How many boxes of Crispix cereal does this person currently have in their pantry?
Right. What you need to follow it up with is, and whatever you guess, you're wrong. It's more.
You tell me.
Say 10.
Too low.
No. 20?
too high, but just by a bit. It's 17.
17 boxes of it's Crispix?
Crispix. Yes. 17 boxes of Crispix.
Cereal. It's Crispix. Why am I blanking on this? Oh, okay, got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah. 17 boxes.
Ask how many people are in the family, Justin. How many people are they feeding? How many people are they feeding, Justin? Go on, ask.
Oh, you're asking me?
Yeah, how many?
5, hopefully?
Nope. Them and one other person.
So 3?
Nope, just that person and one other person.
As a couple plus one other as a child.
No, just 2 people.
Oh, 2 people, 17 boxes. Now, let me ask you this. Is Crispix a favorite cereal of this person?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, it just reminds me of childhood and it's so yummy.
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What are we doing there?
At one point in time, this person had 9 bottles of mustard.
So let me ask this, and I asked this with no preconceived, whatever. Are they one of these preppers? Are they a doomsday prepper?
Nope.
So do you know the rationale behind why so much Crispix and so much mustard?
The only thing I know is that the only thing I can guess is that they see something on sale. It's a deal. And they're like, well, we have to get this because it's on sale. And
why just Crispix? Like, do they not see, like, do Fruit Loops never come on sale?
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
I feel like I'm...
And I've personally seen this multiple times. I've gone there and been like, what is... And that's just one of the cereals that they have, Justin. There are others.
Like, the amount of questions that I have are mounting.
Oh, and I have no answers for you.
Yeah.
At all.
I want to do a follow-up interview with this individual.
Yeah, nothing will satisfy it. It's like watching a TikTok that has like something you're like, how did this start?
Right.
What's the resolution? You'll never know.
Yeah.
It'll just get you and it'll gaslight you, and they're like, what happened? And then you never know.
The resolution is always one more box of Crispix.
It's on sale, bitch.
Yep.
What am I gonna do? Not get it? It's like, yeah, you could try. You should get through the other 17 boxes before you buy any more. Plus, what other cereal you have in there? I mean,
God. Oh my goodness. That puts me.
Practical Doug is oddly enough at peace with that because Practical Doug has been dealing with this for many years.
Yeah.
So Practical Doug's like, well, this is an unanswerable. Cannot solve this equation. Cannot be solved.
Crispix broke Practical Doug.
There's no answer to it.
At least Practical Doug succumbed to it.
I also looked at this as like whatever answer there is, I'm not going to be happy with it. It's not going to suffice. So it's like, just let it go. It is. Yeah. I don't have to see it every day.
Yeah.
So I don't have to witness it every day. So, I won't do it.
I thought I was going to overshoot with 10. I'm like, 5 is my guess, but it has to be a ridiculous number. So I'll say 10.
Yep. 17.
Oh boy.
17. There's been other things I've seen just in there, and I'm just like,
yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, adios. And that's that.
Well, goodbye. Have you ever, when over at this individual's house, have you ever been offered a bowl of Crispix?
Nope.
See, that seems like a very missed opportunity. I feel like this person needs to consistently have a bowl of puppy chow, needs to consistently have...
with a side of mustard.
Right, exactly. Or homemade... not Chex. Well, yeah, essentially Chex Mix.
Trail mix, yeah.
Trail mix, but with a mustard, like a mustard tossed in mustard.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. They need to have an assortment of snacks always at the ready with Crispix involved.
Yeah, it's
a miss.
It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild, and I'm like,
my goodness. I just don't. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if it's because Beth and I are just so accustomed to apartment living, but we shop for what we're gonna make essentially. Like we don't have a lot of back stock of stuff of like, if we're like, if we just wild hair, it's like, oh, let's make chicken and rice. We're like, do we have it? Usually we have to think ahead. We're like, okay, so this week we'll do that, and I can't imagine just having a back stock. I'm so not used to living that way. Yeah. Maybe that will change when we get a house. I don't know.
I'm the same way where every week I make a list. I plan for every meal I'm going to make for the week. Dinners, lunches, my breakfast stuff, all that sort of stuff. I plan for it, and I go and buy all the stuff for it. Some things I'll have I go to Costco every week, and I'll buy some things in bulk, so I just have them available. I'll buy a package of 4 package. It's like one giant package that has 4 separate packages of broccoli that are frozen. I'm like, I will be using these at some point, and
But that's the thing. If it's something that you like if you have broccoli at almost every dinner. Mm-hmm. Then that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if it's something that you're using consistently. Again, if this person had bowls of Crispix out in made in different methods, and they were just like, "This is my favorite cereal," that would make sense to me.
Yeah,
because they're going to burn through the boxes.
Exactly. So, it's a mystery. It's something we'll never.
I won't be able to focus on anything else now.
That's a challenge. Challenge. Focus now.
I would lick the pole.
I got a clean version this time.
I don't know that you did. Good for you.
I stuck to my word.
I don't know how that's relevant in this moment, but good for you for pulling it out.
Whatever. I used it in the stream the other night. Someone goes, Justin? Justin's here?
I love it.
Speaking of streaming, did you know you can check us live on YouTube? We stream our podcast Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central at mindgap.com. No. Wow. Okay. I was like, I almost said that wrong. I'm like, you did. YouTube.com/mindgappodcast. I also do a video game stream currently now on Fridays at 8 p.m. Central. Although there won't be any this week because of the holidays. So just hang on to your shorts for that. Check us out there. And while you're here, if you watch this live stream where you see our videos and things like that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It's free, and it helps us a lot on our journey. We're up to 246 subscribers now. Boo-boo-boo-boo. Chugga along. If you feel like throwing some money our way to help support our cause, which is a noble one, head over to patreon.com. You can help us out there, or patreon.com/mindgappodcast, and check us out at redbubble.com for some of our merch. It's good stuff. And then also in the description down below, you will find a link to our Discord. Come join the Mind Gap crew. Be a part of the meme channels. Be a part of the podcast discussions. Be a part of the video game nights and the events that we put together. We'd love to have you, as long as you're not a dick. So think about that before you click, because it's really important. But go, check out all that stuff.
Dick before you click.
That's right. If you're going to click, expect a dick, I think that's what...
In the proper channels, yes.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. You know what I mean?
Which I still don't know which is the dick channels, but...
Every channel has got a potential to be the dick. You just got to look in the right place. So, gang, if you're asking yourself, hey, Doug, why are you used to stream on Saturdays for the video games? What gives? Why are you streaming on Fridays? Well, it's because I am currently hosting a D&D session with myself, Justin.
I just love this, yeah.
It makes sense. It's like the perfect fit. I wanted to put something together, and I maybe will at some point. That's like, it's time for a D&D update. Ooh, and just have some audio things.
Finished with machine.
Exactly, because that's totally, Why no Saturday nightsies, precious? Let me do that again in the right voice. Yes. Why no Saturday nightsies, precious? That's about the only accent I can do well is Gollum.
It's good. That was good, actually.
Thank you. Because I'm hosting D&D, and I'm doing it as a very special group with Justin, with Eric. You remember Eric from the Dungeon Karens, if you check those out. Also, Slotty is a part of that, as well as Eric's wife, Kaya, and, of course, Drew, Justin's business partner. And 4/5 of these folks are D&D newbies. So I designed something specifically for them to take them on their very first adventure. We did the tutorial, which, as you've heard me talk about before, took a little bit longer than I expected because they got into shenanigans, and it was wonderful. But we began in earnest last weekend. We started officially the session, which I have been very loosely calling a one-shot. A one-shot means you get it done in one session. There's no way this would get done in one session, but I'm calling it their mini-adventure because it's not a campaign, but it has a mini-adventure. So we began in earnest. Justin, based on your experiences with D&D, leading up to this and everything like that, how did this first session go for you?
This first session was a blast. It went way better than I expected. Training wheels were off, so to speak. I was very excited when we got into combat this session, because the last time we got into combat in the what we call the tutorial run through or whatever, that was it. That dragged on quite a long time, and it was very slow. And I'm like, this doesn't feel like when they do it on crit. I'm like, this doesn't feel like the combat that I've bore witness to on other, times I've seen D&D, which is minimal in fairness. But I'm like, I don't know, man. This is going to take us a very long time to get through this. And then that second time we went into combat, it was amazing. Once you have the fundamentals down, how you just blow through it. And I was like, all right, this is pretty badass, because people were making decisions. They were casting spells, and they were making a reindeer pop up, and there was things happening. I had a flarfin explode next to someone's head. It was great. So that was a lot of fun. I think the hardest thing still, and you warned me at least about this, is the biggest difference between what we're doing now and D&D Light, when we were the Dungeon Karens, is when you're like, you told me, you're like, I'm going to say to you, okay, what do you want to do? And you can do anything. And I'm like, all right, got it. Not really comprehending it. And then we did Dungeon Karens, and it was like, cool, very linear. And then we opened up, and you dropped us in the back room of a bakery, and you said, okay, what do you want to do? And everyone kind of sat there, myself included. I'm like, oh, wait, like, really? What do we want to do? It's such a weird, it's so weird to just have complete control. Like, I could have said, I want to read a book, and you would have been like, cool. So
what book are you reading?
Ash is reading a book. What's everyone else doing? Like, anything, Yeah. I could have walked out into the front of the bakery if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And that would have had, like, it's still a mind trip for me. I'm still right now, this happened on Saturday, I'm still right now thinking of other ways that adventure could have gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, anything could have happened,
Yeah. Which is also exciting and terrifying.
It is. When I split off, so in the campaign, we were being followed as we were going through the streets of Baldur's Gate, and we came upon a alchemy shop, and I put everyone in there, and I have a sneaking ability, and I snuck back around to interrogate the person. And as soon as I kind of pushed everyone into the alchemy thing and then peeled off, I went, this is either going to go very well, or it's going to be a train wreck of a decision. And I got very nervous, because I'm like, I don't have Eric to lean on. I lean on Eric very heavily because he's very good at just analytical thinking. I'm like, I don't have anyone else to lean on here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen.
It's very brave of you to do that, just both as your character and as you as a player. It was very fun to watch. Well, I'm like, he's going off on his own. Let's see what happens.
And I love that thank you to everyone else who was cool with it.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty because I'm just like, oh man, I feel like I stole the spotlight on this, and like it was everyone else is over here, and I decided to go over here. And so that's the rest of the episode. I was like, I'm going to pull back and let other people make decisions, because I don't want to feel like, I don't want them to think I'm running this.
It didn't feel that way, at least not to me. So
No, absolutely. Well, I think that's the thing, though. Again, I'm so not used to being able to do side things and tangents because of the Dungeon Karens.
Yeah.
It's just a way different experience playing true D&D. And I got to say, it's fucking fun. I get the draw.
Yeah.
I absolutely get the draw. Now, thank God we have, what are the things we have? The D&D Beyond.
D&D Beyond, yeah.
And the other, if it worked for those helpers,
I wouldn't even suggest it to you. Be honest,
I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah, it is way too much. It was almost too much going through D&D Beyond building the character.
Some people are purists, and they're like, no, it's got to be. You got to handwrite on your sheets, and you got to roll physical dice, and we've got to physically be in person, or it's not real. And I'm like, I've only done this digitally because it's more convenient, and I feel like I think it's as cool as I guess it would be to build the maps and have miniatures and things like that. Like that's a big commitment, money and storage wise. I prefer digital stuff to. I don't know. It just seems more interesting that way. So for me, anyway, I've never done it in person. So
look, I would love to, if there's ever an opportunity to sit down and actually like have all your die there and have your little roll. Like, I would love to sit in a circle and do that. but I would need to be with people who are very comfortable holding
Yeah.
hands, because again, when it comes to all the nuance, it's just so fucking much to know, man.
It is.
There's so much.
And next time you can be the dungeon master, Justin. How about that?
That gives me irritable bowels. I don't like that.
It's funny because the first time I played, I'm like, I want to be the dungeon master. Like that was my first thing. Is like, I want to run this. Like because I was so curious how it worked behind the scenes, and I was like, oh, what can I throw out there to help these people tell a fun story? And that was immediately what I wanted to do. I was like, I want to do this.
The thing is, it's funny because like I get excited about doing like making a movie or writing a script. Thinking about putting something like this together turns my insides upside down, because I'm like First off, I think I'm so unfamiliar with the mechanics of everything still that it's still a little foreign to me. But at the same time, I look at what you're put together and I'm like, how does Doug know what's coming next? This is insanity. We could do anything, and he's got to be ready for it.
Yeah, I know.
This is chaos. This is too much chaos for even Justin.
That's what I thought the first time too. When I was like, so you obviously have to plan this out, and they're like, no. Other DMs, I'm watching stuff. They're like, no, I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm like, that's impossible. There's no way. And they're like,
yes.
Yeah, and then you get comfortable with it. You're like, I don't know, see what happens.
Right?
So tell a story.
The thing is, when everything that happened, I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, is Doug manipulating this to funnel us to a specific location? Or
in some ways, yes.
You know what I mean?
But I'm also giving you an opportunity to find your own way there. So
it's just the whole everything about it is very interesting.
Yeah,
and it's fun. So I definitely recommend. If you've ever been curious about D&D, I would recommend dipping your toes into it some way, shape, or form, because it's definitely, at least thus far, is proving to be a good time. So,
well, I'm glad you're enjoying it, and I look forward to more things. And my goal with this is to turn it into a mini series. Basically, take it, add some sound design to it, streamline it so it's not just a straight recording, because some of the stuff probably isn't super enjoyable to listen to as just like a listener. As you're playing it, you don't mind, but as someone's listening to it, you're like, wow, Doug really doesn't know the rules. So instead we'll just streamline it, do some narration, have some fun with it, make it a fun adventure. That's kind of like my goal to do with it, which I think would be really, really fun. So
I have noticed when you're like, when we do stuff like when I'm like, I'm gonna rage, and you're like, cool. So what does that look like? And I'm realizing now that you're getting audio bites that we can
actually.
Later.
I'm just doing that for you. I want you to tell me what it looks like. I don't want to dictate what it looks like. It's your character. You tell me what happens when you rage and wild magic surges through you and where it comes from. It gives you. Yeah. I feel like it's originally that's what I did. I'm like, all right, you do this, but I'm like, wait, no. You tell me. There's this other DM on Critical Role who does a guest DM, and she does a wonderful job of being like, you tell me what that looks like, what that sounds like. I'm like, oh, you're empowering the player to describe it, which I think is kind of cool. So I kind of like that, and sometimes if you need a little extra, I'll add a little bit extra flavor to it. But for the most part, I'm like, you described how you murdered that guy just fine. I got nothing to add. Let's move on. Great job. Well to go. I think that's cooler. But yeah, like, we'll see what we can find with it. But I'm looking forward to putting that together. I think that'll be fun. So
absolutely.
Be patient, y'all, but that'll be coming. So
he's a coming. Don't worry about it.
He's a coming. Yay! Yeah. So, Justin, you're a guy who has run a couple of marathons.
I have, yes.
And from my understanding, you also used to smoke.
That is correct.
So, there's a guy, marathon runner, who chain smoked while running the marathon in under 3.5 hours. Tell me, how is this possible?
Well, not only did he do one, but he's done like 5 or 6 where he's chain smoked, and he sets records.
Yeah.
I think he did this one in it was sub 3.5, right?
I think so. I'm trying to find the actual
sub 3.5 hours. I think it was something like 3:26 or something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It was ridiculous. So look,
he's 50-year-old too. Like he's
right.
He's 50.
Right. He's not like a 21-year-old spring chicken. Yeah. I running the mare, and I'm not a runner by trade. I haven't run all through high school and was in track and fit. I was late to the game running, so I had a hard enough time just getting over the finish line on those 2 marathons. It was very painful, 2 of the hardest things I've ever done, and very rewarding. But I cannot fucking imagine chain smoking and running a marathon and doing it sub 3.5. Like, that is absolute fucking bonkers to me.
I can't imagine just like chain smoking and walking for 3.5 hours. Like,
no, you can't,
know,
because most people can't do it. Is the thing.
Yeah.
This is a freak.
Yeah.
This is a superhuman freak. The worst part, man, was when I was smoking, because I would, like, at my worst, I was never I roomed with people who would maybe a pack a day. I would do maybe a half a pack a day. So I was on the lighter side of smoking. But even when I like would get drunk and you really want to light up, if I did go through a pack of cigarettes in a day or something, like I felt like such garbage the next day. And anyone who tells you they don't is lying. It just makes you feel, you wake up, you feel like you licked a cat, like you just like the feeling in your mouth, and it's just an ashtray. Your lungs hurt. Then you take that first drag the next day and you're like, okay, everything's better again.
Back to normal, baby.
Back to normal. Little hair of the dog. But yeah, I cannot fucking imagine running 26.2 miles and then chain smoking a fucking pack of cigarettes. That just, yeah. Look, and the other thing is, okay, it's wild he was able to do it. Also, so he's an idiot. What, like I'm of 2 minds of this. There's part of me that's just like, all right, great, he did this, and he's gonna. There's another part of me that wonders: is he offsetting the smoking by running? Is it just canceling it out? Like,
because that's exactly how it works.
Is he net neutral right now?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's carbon neutral. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it? I mean, as someone who smoked and ran marathons.
Yeah, someone who's nailed both of those. I'm just trying to. Practical Doug is just being like, I've jogged. Yeah. At one point, I was in track and I ran 400-meter dashes and things like that and whatnot. And the idea of like the act of running and breathing has a rhythm to it. I can only imagine as you're doing that and also being like, and like smoking, like it can't be that enjoyable. Like, no, it can't be.
Like you're gasping for oxygen.
Yeah.
And then you're shoving smoke down your throat.
Yeah. It said he goes by the name Uncle Chen, which is the perfect name. Showed him running with a cigarette in his mouth while while running. And he finished 574th out of more than 1,500 runners. I think that's the thing to me. If you want to think if this guy did this and placed last, it'd just be like, oh, look at this goofy guy. He's just like, yeah, fuck you guys and your exercise. I'm going to do what I want. But this guy's like actually relatively decent at this. Like he's running decent times for a marathon.
So you're running, if you run a 3 hours and 30-minute marathon pace, you're running 8 minutes per mile for 20. Like, think about that. Like, I could, when I was in peak condition, and I could knock out 4 miles in about 7.5 minutes per mile, right? And that was if I was like absolutely like falling over myself, like Roadrunner. Like, Wile E. Coyote, my legs were just spinning. I can't imagine running a marathon. Like, you're booking it. Now, I understand that's not world record setting times or anything, but, like, 3:30 is no joke. Like, you're hoofing it. 8 minutes a mile for 26 miles is
that's solid.
Fucking joke. You are hoofing it.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how he's doing it. And to your point, like, when you're sucking in oxygen, but you've just got a cig hanging out of your mouth. And
yeah. That's crazy, man.
A lung dart sitting right there in your lips.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't know, man. Like,
he's not doing this for, like, nothing in the article or anything said it like it was for a stunt or he's making money off. Like, this is just who he is. He's just doing his thing.
Yeah. He's just doing it. I'm like, I think it would suck to run next to him. I'd be like, come on, man. Come on.
If he was a pacer, he just had the thing that everyone had to follow to hit that pace, and you're just
like, fuck, come on, man. He's just, because that also leads you to believe that he's got a lighter tucked away somewhere too. you know.
Well, he has to slow down to light the thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, just hold on.
I think I saw a picture of him lighting it.
That's wild. Yeah. That's absolutely wild. I find it very entertaining because he's also a pretty decent runner at the same time. It's just the juxtaposition of those two things to me is very hilarious. I find it endlessly entertaining that's what he's doing. It's just like, hey, I'm pretty good, and also, fuck you. It's like that scene in Old School where Vince Vaughn's like doing the Iron Cross, and he's got like a cigarette. He's like, it's just, I don't know, something about doing a very impressive feat of strength and athleticism, but then also doing something incredibly unhealthy is very funny to me. Yeah. There's like stories of in football in the early days, like during halftime, we're on the bench, and the players would just be lighting up cigarettes, while they're like, "All right, good play. All right, next series, this is what we're gonna do." They're like pointing with like the cigarette in their hand. What the fuck,
dude? If I was a marketing exec at Camel or whatever, Marvel, like I'd be like, get this guy a fucking deal. We're signing him. It's like it reminds me of that. You remember the old John Belushi SNL commercial with the little chocolate donuts?
No, I don't think I remember that.
It was essentially a parody on a Wheaties commercial, and it was John Belushi in a tight runner's unitard, and he had a cigarette in his hand, just like he was supposed to be this big athlete. He's like, when I train, I make sure that I have little chocolate donuts at my breakfast table, and he would eat it, and then take a drag of the cigarette. He's like, little chocolate donuts give me the energy necessary to da 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 da, and it showed him on the track and field track, like doing the whole just fat, funny Belushi.
Yeah.
But this gives me those vibes where you're just like, this guy is just like, I run marathons.
Yeah.
I smoke the cool, easy smoke of Camel cigarettes.
That's why I was, looking back on it too, like there were Snicker commercials with a lot of athletes where like, when there's a hunger inside you, and there's someone doing soccer, like, oh man, when I'm done working out, I reach for a Snickers. I'm like, really? Is that what you go for?
The peanuts and the protein that I need.
It's like, what? And the nougat, like,
and
what?
The sugar, the pure sugar.
Now listen, I have post-workout shakes that are pretty high in sugar content, but the idea, it's also got a lot of protein. It's got bananas, like the sugar content comes from the honey that I put in it, and everything. But the idea of like, hey, give me a Reese's, or give me a Payday bar, because that's got all the nuts I need, the protein. It's like, what?
Well, so now marathon runners have like, they're either the gel packs or the gummies, the running gummies, and really all it is it's supposed to just like shoot up your glucose, so you get that little boost of energy that can carry you down. So, and the way it was explained to me when I was training for it, the guy was like, look, the minute you start running, it's going down. Your energy level's just going to decrease.
Yeah.
And so this isn't going to solve it. This is just going to pick it up so it decreases slightly less. But by the end of it, doesn't matter how many of these you put in your mouth, you're going down. Like your energy, you're going to be tanked by the end.
Yeah, essentially you are for temporarily replacing a little bit of energy. It's still burning away. You're not getting anything back. It's
disposable. It's pure sugar, glucose. Like it's that quick hit to make you maybe get through like another 2-3 miles.
Yeah.
Before you got to like, But so a lot of these, and they work. They're great. I use them. But Beth always told me before those came out and became a commodity in the running world, she and her sister, when they were training for their marathons, they would just have Snickers in their pockets, and I'm like, really, it does make sense. Like if you are just looking for a quick sugar boost to help you push through another mile. So I don't know. Again, like, is that where Snickers is?
I didn't see it as a recovery meal. Like, boy, after my workouts, you know what I like to do? Have a Snickers, and that's how it was always.
If I'm building lean muscle and I need protein,
yeah, that's the best way to get protein is a fucking Snickers bar. It's like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, and then all these athletes were like, well, there's a hunger inside you. And they're like, yeah, Snickers. This is what I reach for. It's like, what? No, you don't. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild when you think of how far we've come our nutrition by itself.
Absolutely,
for that's a lot of times when people try to compare different eras of sport. like, oh man, if this guy played blah blah blah, I'm like, we know so much more about just training and recovery now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That anyone from the modern age would probably beat the shit out of him just sheer because of that by itself. They're putting their body in the best possible state to be effective. Versus back then, we're like, hey man, I heard someone say their dad was an Olympic lifter, and like, so dad, like, you know, what'd you do, you know, to like nutrition wise, like what did you do? He's like, we ate steak. He's like, steak? yeah, we used to have steak. And he's like, every day. He's like, yeah, we'd eat steak.
Holy shit!
Gotta get that protein. He's like, oh my god, Dad, that's it? He's like, yeah, steak. That's what we ate. It's like, that's what we had. Gotta eat steak. They didn't know any. They didn't know any different. It's probably like raw eggs and steak, probably. You know, that's what.
Well, it's like when you talk about anyone from the like the 90s, when they talk about, you know, getting in either weightlifting or the action stars when they had to cut, and they would always talk about like, oh, I hate, you know, got to eat my chicken and rice, you know, my boiled chicken and my white rice. It's very plain, and it's this and this, and a lot of people are talking now, like, look, it's not, you don't have to. I think Center even did a thing on it where they're like, this isn't your dad's, you know, diet. This is not, you don't have to do chicken and rice. We've come so far beyond that nowadays. You can have stuff with flavor, and you can cook it different ways. You can get the same nutrients, and you don't have to boil chicken.
Yeah, I know that's definitely. I remember seeing old infomercials where it's like, "Are you trying to build lean muscle?" And it just shows a guy in black and white getting up in his sweats, cracking a bunch of raw eggs in a glass, and then just drinking it. I was like, why wouldn't you just cook them? Like, I don't understand why you have to eat them raw.
Yeah.
Like, what's the benefit of the raw egg versus the cooked egg? Are you burning off nutrients? Like,
right. It's a quicker way to get it in, Doug. I think that's a throwback to a Rocky, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh man. Austin Reno! What's up, buddy? Got milk? I can't imagine drinking a whole glass of raw eggs.
No.
I think I'd probably barf.
I feel like we should try it now, though.
Oh no!
I want to see us attempt this.
No,
how many do you think you could drink before you would let
boy,
it go?
Wow, what a great thing! How many can you drink before you barf? Like, that sounds terrible.
That sounds exactly like something we'd do.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. Like, we may have the soundboard of some morning radio, you know, shock jocks, but we're better than that.
Well, look, we said, "Would you lick it?" You know, a while ago.
Not that long ago. You know.
So we can I'm just asking you how many. It's a hypothesis. It's a theory. How many?
I don't know, man. I did.
Could you do one and be okay?
Probably do one.
Yeah. You know what it is?
You're like, could you do two? And we just keep going until you get the answer that you're looking for.
We'll just keep saying yes. The rest of the podcast is
probably. Yeah, probably. Cool. Well, we got there.
It's when you're drinking it. It's drinking the yolk part, or the white part would be gross, but it's when the yolk comes past your lip and you get that like semi-firm thing just like shooting. You're like,
and then it just drops down. Oh,
and you don't know when the next one's coming, and it's just. That'd be the tough part for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I'm just like, just scramble it, and put it in a pan, just cook it, and then eat it with some turkey bacon. There you go. Like, what? I don't get it, man. That's dumb. It's dumb as hell.
It was from. Sorry, I just had to double check. It is from Rocky.
Yeah, it's not as dumb as chain smoking while running a marathon, but it's pretty damn dumb. So.
Bingo.
Speaking of pretty damn dumb, great article in Fortune that came out today. With this amazing headline, Avatar 2 represents the worst business case in movie history, according to its own director, James Cameron.
Way to hype the movie. Way to hype the movie.
Listen, I've made there's no secret that I did not enjoy the first Avatar movie. I didn't even really want to go see it. It was a friend of mine. I was visiting him out in L.A., and he's like, hey, man, he loves movies. Like, you want to go see Avatar? I'm like, I guess so. And Jill's like, I'll pass. So I went with him, and it was the last night it was showing, and we saw it in 3D, and I remember just watching it being like, I mean, it's a movie, you know? Like,
wasn't a religious experience like everyone else apparently.
No, I mean just the reaction
of the same movie.
The reaction people had, they're like, I wish I could be in Pandora. They called it like the Avatar Blues because people felt that they were depressed because they couldn't live in this fictional world. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? This is insane. Wow. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. I don't get that. Look, I've made no it's no secret. I don't know what we're both trying to say, but I know there's something there.
Yeah.
It's no secret. I've never seen the movie, and I have very strong opinions on it.
It is
based off of what you've said.
Yeah, listen, technologically, fucking impressive, as James Cameron usually does, as he pushes the boundaries with technology and most of the things that he makes. I think he was at the forefront of some of the stuff that we see today that makes it easier for people to act, edit, and create stuff in real time.
Absolutely.
He was 100% doing that shit back way before. I mean, he helped invent it, basically. So kudos to that sort of stuff. Listen, the first Avatar, it looks really good. The second Avatar, Avatar 2, looks really good. Like, just CG and everything looks phenomenal. The story is garbage. It is complete and utter garbage. Let me walk that back a bit. It is derivative, to put it in a more critical, more critic-friendly way of like, it's derivative. There's nothing unique about this movie at all. There's just you've seen the movie, you've seen the story. Nothing about it is unique.
Yeah,
it just is, and that is, to me, story is always number one in my book. Can I still enjoy a movie with a bad story? Listen, I like Battlefield Earth, so yes, absolutely. But it's one of those things where if the story is just so bad that it's either hard to follow or it's just like you can see it coming from a mile away or whatever, like I can't do it. Like it really affects me in a visceral way. And this movie, when it came out and they did this, I'm like, how is everyone loving this film? How is this possible? And the fact that the writing was up for an Oscar, I was like, no, absolutely not. This should not be up for best writing. Go fuck yourself. Someone's like, it tells a great story about colonialism, and I'm like, what are you talking about? They're trying to mine unobtainium. Like, get out of here with that bullshit. No, it's terrible. The villain's like, I'm a bad guy. Like, it's so terrible, terrible.
Before we jump into the what this article is about and why it is a bad business case, it's 13 years since the previous movie came out. I feel like even though Avatar, the first one, is the highest grossing movie of all time, it was knocked off by the Avengers, but then Cameron got butthurt and was like, I got to re-release it so I can take my top spot back. I get it. I probably would do the same thing if I was in that position. You're that close. Why not?
He's also like, I got to build some excitement for the sequel,
True. But I understand it was commercially successful, but I think a lot of people, even the fans at this point, have also said, why are we doing a sequel? I think this is pretty universal. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a pretty universal agreement on the internet of just like,
why?
Hey, no one really asked for this. Am I off base on that?
I'm not sure. I don't know where all these people were that loved the movie originally. I don't know who they are or where they exist in reality. So I don't know what their response was to it. I got confused when Disney was like, hey, we're investing a whole section of one of our theme parks. We're dedicating to this film. I'm like, why? Because it wasn't a recent, like, it wasn't like, oh, this movie came out, and then we've also it was like years after the fact. Like, by the way, there's a Pandora of the section of this park now, 8 years after the fact. I'm like, why?
And it wasn't a franchise. Like, it took a while for them to build Avengers Campus, but that has been a franchise for a while.
Right.
Like, that makes sense because it took a while, but it's also still going.
I mean, brand-wise, it kind of makes sense, right? Because Pandora's about wilderness, wildlife, conservation. It goes hand in hand with Animal Kingdom at Disney World. But I still was like, well, this is kind of weird that they're like, we have the Pandora section of the park. I'm like, okay, I guess.
Right.
All right. It's weird that they would do that. And it's like, because one thing if it's like, oh, and by the way, the sequel had come out by then too. So it's like, yes, and it was a big hit. It was just one movie, big success.
Yeah.
Nothing else happening. And the fact that he's like, oh yeah, there's probably like 2 or 3 more movies after this sequel too. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
There's that much of a story to tell?
Well, that's the thing that I don't. So I feel like it's the sequel that no one asked for, and I don't understand why. I guess I just don't understand. Yeah. Well, that then leads us into what this article talks about.
I was like, I feel like James Cameron answers your question for you. This article.
Yeah, so I think he asks the same question I'm asking though. Like, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I feel like he answers it with why not.
Well, why not? He had said in the article, if they're going to give me $1 billion to make a movie, of course I'm going to fucking make that movie.
Yeah, right.
But at the same time, the return on an investment, the metrics that are needed for this to be successful,
to break even, this movie has to be in the at least top 4 highest grossing movies of all time. At least to break even.
Right. So we're talking if it makes less than $2 billion, it's in the red.
Yes, let that sink in.
Like a sound investment.
Let that sink in as far as, what that means. Like, you got to be able to pull off with that. And
right.
And also so long after the great success of the original too. Like, just it seems like a tall order.
I guess the thing that I'm not understanding, and maybe you read this differently than I did, or maybe you can shed some light on it based off of something else that you read. But it says the estimates put the movie's production budget at roughly $250 million, although that figure's not been confirmed. Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide is at present the most expensive film ever made, with a budget of $422 million. So look, usually they say whatever your production budget is, you double it for P&A, right?
Mm-hmm.
For prints and advertising. So 250, we're up at half $500 million now, $500 million. I guess I don't understand where this $2 billion mark. What is he when he says it costs $1 billion to make? I'm just not understanding where the money's coming from. Regardless, if he is truly saying that to break even we need $2 billion, it's fucking.
Well, if he says it costs $1 billion to make, you got to double your budget.
Right, but no, I understand that, but I'm saying like every other estimate put this at $250 million, regardless.
Yeah, no,
we're getting in the weeds on that. The point is, if the only way for you to break even is to be one of the top 3 largest box office grossings in the history of cinema. You're not just like, you put a movie out there, it happens to hit that, and you're like, wow, what an amazing achievement, and I feel honored and so happy that everyone loved it this much. You're saying we have to hit that now. So now that's an expectation. That's fucked up.
Because you're also playing with other people's money, too. To basically be like... Because I think what Cameron's riding on right now is his laurels. And I'm not... by the way, I'm not shitting on James Cameron at all. Yeah. I like his stuff. I like the stuff that he's made.
Incredible films. Yeah.
Terminator 2, Aliens. Like, he's made some really fucking great films. Like, they're fun. They're very fun.
Absolutely.
But as it goes on to say, it's like how Cameron got Avatar's green light. It's basically because of his record of success. And there have been a lot of, well, I told you so sort of situations. And there was the first Avatar movie was initially rejected by Fox. And Peter Chernin, who ran the studio at the time, essentially was like, I don't. He basically was like, is there any way to get you can get the kind of tree-hugging hippie bullshit out of it, which is basically the whole movie. But Chernin says that he believes that Fox passed on Avatar due to the cost. And Cameron recalled telling Chernin, you might look like a big dick if it makes a lot of money. Because he was also in that conversation referencing how Universal passed on his pitch for Titanic, which was also insanely successful.
Yeah.
And before that, he did Terminator 2, Judgment Day, True Lies. Like he's made some bangers, and it's like I liken this in our pre-production meeting. It's kind of like Sean Connery, who kept passing on some of the most iconic movies of all time. Like originally he was supposed to be Morpheus in The Matrix. He was originally approached to be Gandalf in Lord of the Rings, and he's like, I don't understand any of this bullshit. And so finally someone's like, here's another movie. And it was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's like, I'll do it. And he fucking hated it. The movie sucked, and then he retired. He gave up. He's like, I don't fucking understand this shit. And he just quit. And he, that was the last movie he ever did. And so I think a lot of this is, I think people are like, well, James Cameron's doing something. He's had a string of hits, which is flawed logic, by the way, to be able to pull this off. I think people, it's a common thing where, if you're like, oh, I'm going to, like, we'll take it with stocks. Like, oh, this stock always does well for me whenever I invest in it or whatever, or if I take this whatever out on it, oh, it always does well. That's I forget what it's called, but it's a fallacy in that, like, oh, this basketball player's he's on fire. He keeps hitting threes, so I bet he'll hit the next one. It's like it's just statistics. It's just
right.
Either he will or he won't. Whether or not he's made the last three is irrelevant. It just is. It's just that's how it is. So, but I'm blown away by the fact that he can go and be like, yeah, give me all this money because, I've got the track record to prove it. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Well, so the other argument he makes is in this, and I got to find it again in this article, which I'm of two minds on this argument. He says, we don't put it all in a pile and light it on fire. We're going to give it to people. If the studio agrees and thinks it's a good investment, as opposed to buying an oil lease off the north of Scotland, which someone would think was a good investment, why not do it? So if I can make a business case to spend $1 billion in a movie, I'll fucking do it. So basically he's saying that, look, they're going to pay me to make this movie. I'm going to employ thousands of people, and thousands of people are going to get a paycheck and be able to feed their families and pay their mortgages. And they're going to have, like, I'm helping with this. That is a valid point, and I do understand that argument. Like, that's totally fair. I would much rather have it going to those people than for some other nefarious whatever. But those to phrase it that way makes it sound like you either pay me, you either give me this money, or seals are going to get clubbed and drown in oil. Like you can't. It's not that binary. It's just not. You could take that money and you could employ many more people if you were to invest in. There's a lot of up and coming storytellers. Look, Drew and myself excluded from this conversation, though we would take some money.
Of course.
From a leaving us out of it perspective, there's a lot of filmmakers that have a lot of really fucking cool ideas that have amazing stories that need to be seen and deserve to be seen. And you're giving $1 billion to one dude. Sure, he's got a track record, but man, like, what if someone took that $1 billion, a studio took that and said, look, we're taking this and we're going to finance 1,000 new filmmakers, and we're going to split this evenly. And like that would, the press alone from that would be out of this world. You know what I mean? People would flock to see those movies because that would be something that'd be shaking up the industry. People wouldn't know what to do with that. They would eat this shit up.
Yeah.
I think would you make the same return? I don't know, but man, your goodwill, I do think that it would pay dividends down the road.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. I mean, it'd be great if you did some sort of like contest or whatever, or let's make this grosser. Let's do a reality TV show where people come in and they try to compete. They go through the whole process, and at the end, you get funding from this to fund your thing. Like it happens. You build promotion for it. You can, you can be really gross and earn stuff off of the viewership off of the reality TV show. But find a way to do that. Like at the end of the day, listen, you swing for the fences. Big risk, big reward. All right. So,
yeah.
But again, it's one thing to be like, hey, we're looking to, $750 million would be break even for us, on this. That's a huge deal. But to be like, if we want to break even, we gotta hit over $2 billion. What are you hoping is going to happen here? So what's the upside on that? Because Avatar has made $2.9 billion after its re-release. So if you hit $2 billion, what's your return going to be? Your percentage isn't going to be that great on it. Like, you know, if you can spend $100 million and earn $1 billion, that's a better rate of return than $2 billion and we got 2.5. Woo! Like, really? That's
the other thing is too, like, if you're banking on the fact that, okay, like, this is going to launch the franchise, because he's got 5 total films locked and loaded, like, up here in the old noggin, ready to go. And so if you think this is going to help launch a, you know, multi-billion-dollar franchise, well, let's take a look at the success rate of franchises that go 5 deep. It's not wonderful. You know what I mean? Like, James Bond, quality-wise, I can think of a few that have done it. The Avengers pulled it off, but we'll see if that keeps going, because there's been a lot of up and down on the quality of what's been happening with them recently. Bond has made it successful.
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious.
Harry Potter.
Of that, like Harry Potter. Keep going. Keep proving me wrong.
I was like, what else we got here? I was like, those are just the top 2 off the top of my head. I was like,
and also just quality-wise, like, I would argue that now I understand there's a difference between quality and box office numbers. Like, a lot of people will pay a lot of money for mediocre, you know? We've seen it happen over and over again. Again, Fast and the Furious is a great example. Like, those movies aren't for us. I would not call them epic, or I would not call them wonderful movies, at least by my, you know, are they bad? No. Are they great movies?
Are they fun? Sure.
Sure, I would say they're not great, and, you know, I think they're getting more and more absurd, you know. I just don't think, if you're banking on this being a franchise thing where you're going to make your money down the road, I don't know, man. Like, are you going to have to invest this much money in each of them?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I don't know.
That's a lot to do up front.
A big gamble.
I mean, I think, you know,
maybe I'm wrong with the 5 deep return. Like, maybe that's not a great example.
You're talking like you're spending like Rings of Power kind of shit right now, you know, hoping that, you know,
right.
What was that, 60 million an episode?
Yeah. You're just like, all right, cool.
Not to mention that doesn't include the rights that they had to pay to get, you know,
right.
The rights to do that. Like, yeah, that's big. That's a big one.
It's expensive, man. Yeah,
that's fucking expensive, bro. I guess
what
happens.
I'm saying is you can't guarantee that a franchise is going to pay off. It's
true,
especially with a franchise when you've got 13 years in between the first 2 movies. Like, is there
the timing on this one is weird for me. Like,
is there a theme for this anymore?
When they were like the sequel's coming out, I'm like, why? What? What more? It's the distance between the stuff. For some reason, I get irrationally angry when it's so long after, and they're like, "Guess what? Now it's time." I'm like, "What have you been doing?" And I'm sure it's complicated and everything, but it was like when Sin City came out, great fucking film, and then like 8 years later, it's like, "Get ready for the sequel." I'm like, "What? That shit's gone, man. The ship has sailed." There's no way people are like, man, I've been waiting for Sin City to come back. It's like, what? No.
What's the timeline on a sequel for you? What do you think? What do you think the threshold is? But typically, we can, you know, argue, you know, dates here and there, but like in general, what's the threshold for a sequel? I gotta
say, if you want to capitalize on it, especially if it's good, if it's a good film, a sequel, it's gotta be less than 5 years or less. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It just has to be.
5 years is the top of the scale, I think, for me.
Because especially nowadays, people's attention spans are so short. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
People talk about that all the time in politics. They're like, the news cycle can't. It's people are just like, huh? What happened yesterday? This new thing's today. People do not hang on to things at all. And you're like, 13 years ago, in the previous generation, there was a movie that came out. You know, like. Think about that. When that movie came out, there was a child that was born that is now 13 years old.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, that's
absolutely.
That is when you put it in that perspective, you're like, Jesus, what were we waiting for, man?
Right.
And all that, a movie that was, I say, it was financially irresponsible for them to wait this long because it was such a smash hit. Where was we gotta get the second one out? And I'm sure there's a story that I just don't know. I'm sure there was something happening, but who was like, we should take our time with this? Because I feel like that was a giant mistake. That was the top grossing movie of all time. Still is after the re-release. I mean, it was unbelievable the numbers that it did. Also would argue that its numbers, I think, are slightly inflated because of 3D. Because that movie was one of the first movies that was designed with 3D in mind. As opposed to like, put on your glasses for this big monster reveal. It was like, no, the whole movie, which I also have to say, I watched the movie in 3D and I was like, you know what? This actually, it lends itself to 3D because James Cameron was thinking about that. So I think because of those prices, they got a little more in their gross. Still, massively successful film, and they're like, let's wait over a decade.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd say 5 years or less. I think that's probably about the max. Because whenever they come on after that, I'm like, where have you guys been? What's going on?
Right.
What are we doing here? Where do we miss the opportunity to keep this story going? I don't get it. But that's enough about that. I think it's time.
Is it time?
Oh boy, let's hope I choose the right one here. Which one is it? I don't know. Is it?
Play it.
Hello. We're back.
I think what throws me off about that one is it just stops.
Yeah, there's explosion and it's like, and we're done.
And it's just there's no big ending. It's just gonna like, and you're welcome.
Hello to Seven in the chat. We were just talking about our D&D adventures earlier in the show, and you came up, and how Justin gave you great praise for being such a great team member in the party. So thank you for doing that. Mm-hmm. Actually, Seven, I'm glad you're here because it's now time for one of our new favorite segments, which is Anime Out of Context. Haven't done this in a little while. And I've got to change up this time. We're not doing Bastard. This time we're changing over. We're doing My Hero Academia. So I would argue, you know what, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to front load this. But we're just going to, Justin's eyes are getting so excited for me.
There's 4 characters on this.
Yes, you're going to do 2, and I'm going to do 2. All right? Justin, you will be playing Gran Torino and Kenji Surigami. All right?
Gran Torino, all right, is an old, cranky, and sometimes forgetful hero who is allowing
Izuku Midoriya
to intern with him. Okay.
Midoriya, excuse me. That's his name, Midoriya.
Who's the other one I'm playing?
So you're playing Gran Torino and Kenji Surigami.
Kenji Surigami, chief of police for Hosu. He has a normal.
Finish that sentence, Justin. What's it say?
He has the normal body, but the head of a dog.
That's right.
There we go.
Goblin plays it. Welcome, buddy. I hope you're ready for some great anime out of context. We're glad you're here.
Oh, boy.
I will be playing Izuku Midoriya and also Shoto Todoroki. Midoriya is a compassionate first-year high school student who is trained to become a hero. And Shoto is son of the second highest-ranked hero Endeavor and an emo kid. So, let's get ready to rock. Are you ready, Justin?
Ready as I'm going to be.
All right. Izuku Midoriya and his 2 classmates sit on hospital beds recovering from a very difficult battle with a dangerous villain named Stain. They are chatting about the good they did the night before, saving civilians and stopping Stain. I almost read that as Stalin. The door to the rooms opens, and in walks Gran Torino. Gran Torino!
Kid, we've got a lot of complaints for you.
Oh, sorry.
But before that, you've got a visitor.
In walks a tall figure, probably 6'6", in a 3-piece suit and tie. They have a body of a man, but the head of a dog.
Host Chief of Police, Kenji Surigami.
Surigami? Chief?
Oh, you could stay seated. Woof.
Woof?
You must be the UA students who brought down the hero killer, right?
Yes. The chief of police came all this way. Why?
God damn it, Doug.
You knew this was coming. Fucking read it.
Regarding the hero killer we arrested, He has fairly serious injuries with burns and broken bones and is receiving treatment under strict guard. Woof. Since you are UA students, I'm sure you already knew when superpowers were still becoming the norm. The police attached high importance to leadership and standards and made sure quirks were not used as weapons. And then the profession of hero emerged to fill the gap. Woof. For an individual's use of force and power, they can easily kill actions that normally would be appropriate to denounce. To be accepted officially is thanks to early heroes who followed the ethics and rules of profession. Woof. Even up against the hero killer. For uncertified individuals to cause injury with their quirks without specific instructions from their guardians or supervisors is a clear violation of the rules. The three of you and the pro heroes Endeavor, Manuel, and Gran Torino must receive strict punishment.
Wait a minute. No one realized that the hero killer had appeared. Are you saying we should have followed the rules and watched people get killed?
Are you saying that as long as it turns out all right, it's okay to bend the rules?
Isn't it a hero's job to save people?
That is why you're not a full-fledged hero yet. Goodness, what are you being taught by UA and Endeavor? Woof.
You dog!
Hang on a minute. Hear him out till the end. What was the official opinion of the police? And the punishment and such would only happen if this were all made public. Woof. If this were made public, you would probably be applauded by the public, but you would not be able to escape punishment. On the other hand, this is a bit upper-handed. But if it is not made public, the burn scars would support Endeavor being the hero who saved the day, and it would end there. Woof. Thankfully, there were very few witnesses. This violation could be crushed here. Woof. But this would also mean that no one would know about your good judgment or achievements. Which would you prefer? Personally, I don't want to be the one to find fault with promising young ones because of a big mistake. Woof.
I'm sorry. Please take care of it.
Because of the unfairness of adults, you will not be able to receive the praise you would probably have gotten. But at least, as someone who also protects the peace, I can say thank you.
Please start with that next time. Todoroki! And scene.
This was my least favorite one.
Really? This was your least favorite one?
Here's the thing. I don't know what it was. I didn't process a single word of what I said.
I don't know how you couldn't.
None of what I said made a lick of sense to me. And I don't know
that is why I fucking do this. Because this, to me, is chef's kiss.
Just, what did I gotta go back in here now.
Well, here's the best part, too, is the way you play the characters always throws me off, because Kenji is like a very serious character who will then say woof. And that was, I was telling you this the other night where I was watching a scene, I immediately go, well, we're going to be doing this for Anime Out of Context, because there's no preface for it. It's like, oh, here comes the chief of police, Kenji Surigame. It's like, it's a dog. I'm like, huh? And he's like, hello, woof. And he literally just says woof. And he's like being really stern. He's like, regarding the hero killer we arrested, he had fairly serious injuries with burns and broken bones and is receiving treatment under the strict guard. Woof. Like, what? What? I liked yours better because he's like, woohoo, I'm a dog. He's just like, and we're doing this. Woof. Because they even call it out. Midoriya goes, woof. Like, he just said woof.
So man, I get, you know what? I'm not even going to try. That was great, Doug. I don't understand what I said.
What questions do you have, Justin?
None questions.
Did we nail it?
I think we did. So for an individual's use of force and power that can easily kill others. So these kids are learning how to be heroes.
Correct.
And they went too far with their powers. But they hurt the right person. Is that right?
Correct.
That's enough.
Yeah.
I get it.
So in this world, 80% of the planet has some sort of superpower, or they call them quirks.
Okay.
But just because you have a quirk doesn't make you a hero. You actually have to go and get training and then get like a provisional license and then get an actual license to be able to do hero work. Exactly.
Got it.
So these students saw something bad happening and they acted, but they didn't have a license. So they're like, even though you did the right thing, you don't have, you shouldn't be doing this because, if you were to hurt somebody, that could be really, really bad. You don't have the proper training for it. So they essentially were like, but we did it. It's like, yeah, just because it worked this time doesn't mean it's okay. Like, you can't do that. So essentially they had to make a choice. Do you want to take the credit for this, but then be punished for doing work without a license? Or do you want to sweep this under the rug and only your mentors will get in trouble?
Yeah.
But you'll never get credit for it. So
I only have one thing to say to that.
Mm-hmm.
Woof.
Woof. Indeed. Woof. Well, that was highly enjoyable for me. And especially what I liked about this were the long stacks of dialogue, which I'm like,
Jesus Christ.
I know which part Justin's going to be playing.
I scrolled down to that one page and I just saw half the page in blue and I'm like, God damn it.
I was like, oh yeah, there's 2 of those. So have fun. And you're like, what am I saying? And I'm a dog?
Yes.
It's like, I have to. This has to be Justin. So
that's fair. And look, you made the right decision. I don't blame you.
Thank you. I needed to hear that. I believe in myself too. So, and that was Anime Out of Context.
Holy shit.
Holy shit indeed. Oh, that was fun. It's good. Sometimes I really second guess myself on this, because it's again, there's things that make sense visually.
Yeah.
You love the anime, by the way. So do I. Actually, I'm in season 7, and I know it's not done yet. So I know I'm walking into depression as I get to the end of season 6, and it's like, oh yeah, by the way, it's not done yet. But still, I'm enjoying the shit out of it. But there's just these moments. And I told Justin this in our production meeting last night. I was watching this, and Natalie was like, "Oh, cool! I want to watch for a little bit." I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it, come on up. It's you can totally watch this." And Jill came in. She was charging her phone. And it was like a little bit before bedtime, and I had promised Natalie, I'm like, "Yeah, if you brush your teeth, you can watch a little bit of it." And she's watching it. And again, this is the middle of season 4. Natalie has no idea what's going on, and Jill's just sitting there watching it. And she checks her watch. It's like 8:21, and then she checks her watch again, and it's like 8:24. She's like, oh my God, it's only been 3 minutes. And she's like looking at the TV and looking at me like, what the fuck is happening? I'm like, yeah, I know, right? And she goes, I have no idea what's happening. I'm like, of course you don't. It's the middle of season 4. Why would you? You have no clue. And this is bonkers, batshit crazy anyway. So yeah, she sees like the worst possible things. Nothing. It's not in the middle of an amazing action sequence. It is like bonkers dialogue, crazy things are happening. I'm like, I get that because I've watched the show up to this point. And she's like, what is happening? I'm like, I know. You're basically, we're living anime out of context right now in our personal lives, and I'm here for it. Yes.
And she's lucky because she gets a visual. At least she gets a visual, and she doesn't just have to cold read it from a Word doc.
Yeah, it's amazing.
With zero understanding.
Yeah, it's pretty goddamn amazing. It was very enjoyable to see that happen. So, but that was one of those things where I'm like, this is the Bastard show, not a very good show at all. So it's fun to pick it apart. I'm like, I would argue My Hero Academia is a really great show. And it just has these bonkers moments where you're like, huh? I've got a couple more that I wrote down that I'm like, this will be fun too, out of context.
Well, and that just shows that it doesn't have to be a bad show for it to work for Anime Out of Context. The whole point of this segment is the fact that I have no clue what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah. Because the thing is, as you're reading all that, I'm like, yeah, that checks out. And you're like, I don't know what a quirk is. Who the fuck is Endeavor? Like, what is this? Like, why are there burns on people's bodies? Where'd that come from? Like, what? There's a guy named Stain? Is it like the band? It's been a while. Like, what? What's happening? Yeah. But the whole time I'm like, I know exactly what this means. So, again, I throw it out to anyone else. If there is an anime or a scene from an anime that you would like us to do, reach out to us. Hit us up on our social medias. Join our Discord and in the Anime Out of Context channel. You can head down there. Make a suggestion of, what it is. Do us a solid. Write up the scene. Write up the dialogue. Give us a little bit of direction. Just a little bit. Tell us, like, kind of maybe how you want us to play the characters or whatever. Put it out there, and we'll fucking do it. Slotty did that for us with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it was awesome. I was like, I have no idea what's going on, and this is a lot of fun. I have no idea how to play this, and that makes it so much fun. So,
and I'll also say this, like we always say, if you want to either take our rereading of this and dub it into the clip of this and send it to us, or if you would like to just straight up reanimate it based off what you think, if you want to do your own anime out of context, take our reading of it and my complete confusion, and then you reanimate it having no context for what it is. And I would love to see what that looks like.
That would tickle my fancy.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. Woo! Good stuff. All right, Justin, what do you got to recommend this week?
Well, we didn't get to the topic, but I am going to recommend on Disney Plus Limitless with Chris Hemsworth. This is the kind of docuseries show that he put together. 6 episodes, about an hour apiece. And he is on a journey to figure out how to live longer, healthier, better, and just have a general overall better existence while he's here on this planet. And it's a great show. I had said to Doug off mic, and I've said in other reviews of this that I've given to people, each episode culminates in some stunt. So like the first one, they talk about stress. The second one, they talk about whatever. The third one or fourth one is about eating and fasting. And then so there's different topics that they cover each one. The fifth one is mindfulness. It's the brain one. And so they go through all these different topics, and it all culminates in like a big stunt. The first one with stress, he has to walk across a crane atop a 1,000-foot building, and he's got to figure out how to handle his stress as he's doing that. So the stunts in all of these episodes are entertaining. They're there for entertainment value. They serve to get you to, we see that this is the finish line. We need to get to this stunt. What's interesting is all the in-between stuff in the episode. When they talk to the doctors and they go through the prep work that he's going through, and they talk about the physiology inside the body and what happens, and chemicals kick in, your flight or fight response, and your adrenaline, your cortisol, like all this other stuff, and they talk about how that affects you and where it goes. It's absolutely fascinating to learn about how the body reacts to certain things, how what you can do for your body changes those reactions. And then they'll usually peel off each episode and they'll follow someone. So one episode he talked about how cold can like extreme heat and extreme cold can benefit the body, and they follow and they interview someone who was in a horrific accident. She fractured her leg. After she got her leg fixed up, there was just this pain, nonstop pain in her bones, and she does ice diving now, where she'll cut a hole in ice and like do free diving, where she holds her breath and just goes under there. And she goes, the minute that I put my legs in this water was the first time since my surgery that I stopped feeling pain, and it's therapeutic for me. And so you get to learn the science behind it. You get to peel off and learn about someone or a group of people who are embodying this topic that they're talking about, and then you get to see this big entertaining stunt at the end. All in all, it's a very cool show, and I would strongly suggest watching it. There's a few things from the show that I'm going to be trying to implement into my daily routine now that hopefully will help me with a few things. So
nice.
I think it's a cool show.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I would recommend the anime that we just did Animated Out of Context from, which is My Hero Academia. I subscribe to Crunchyroll. You don't have to. There's a free version of it if you want to, watch stuff on there with ads. I prefer not to. And I've been tearing through My Hero Academia. It's one of those shows where there's times where you're like, dear God, this is overly dramatic. But also there's these moments where you're like, God, they really are heroes. They're just really doing the heroic thing. And it tugs at my heartstrings for some reason. I'm like, look at him being what we all hope we could be, in the face of danger and everything. They're like, I'll give it my all. And they just go and they fight and they try and they're trying to reach for their dreams. And it's also like just sort of the Japanese motifs of, honor, and even people who are bitter allies can still respect each other for like what they're trying to do. And they're like, what are your ideals? I'm like, what? No one's ever asked me that. Like, what are your, in the middle of a fight, why do you want to be a hero? What are your ideals? Explain them to me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Such a direct question.
But there's also just like a shit ton of characters, which sometimes I'm like, I don't give a shit about all these characters, but then they make them like make you care about them. I'm like, okay, it's kind of cool. But there's times where you're like, Jesus, how many episodes is it going to be this one class that they're in? Like, there's just this one training. I'm like, Jesus Christ, no wonder this is 6 seasons long. Spent half the season being like, this is this one drill that we're doing with the whole class from everyone's perspective. It's like, fuck.
You feel like you're in the class yourself.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. But I love it because you actually get to see the growth of the characters. Like, as they try, they work harder, they develop their skills, they get stronger. You're like, oh, cool, they've come a long way. You can really see it. It's a fun show. I really enjoy it. It's also one of those ones where I'm like, I could probably watch this with Natalie, and she might enjoy it. So it's not like super over the top, or there's some darks, ideas and stuff like that, but it's interesting. It's pretty cool. So
it's always fun to find those little nuggets where you're like, oh, cool, something I can share. Because at her age right now, I'm sure it doesn't always line up. So it's fun when you find
the animation in it too would easily appeal to her. It does. She's like, what are you watching? She's immediately like, what is this? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I'd be happy to start it over with her and be like, let's watch it and see if you like it. So it could be fun. So there you go. My Hero Academia. It's on Crunchyroll. Check it out. I recommend it. Well, that, my friends, is the show for today. Please remember to check us out on all our social medias at MindGap Podcast. Be sure to check us out at youtube.com/MindGap Podcast. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It means a lot to us. It helps us out a lot. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/MindGap Podcast. Check out our merch at redbubble.com and join our Discord. Link in the description down below. And be sure to check out Justin as well.
That's right. On Instagram at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, all the Podbean, all the places you can find and consume podcasts. You can find and consume us, and then do the thing where we ask sharing, subscribing, like, rate, review. All those good things make us feel good, and they go a long way. And then 2east8th.com and 2east8th on all social media. And finally, as always, loveandimprovfilm.com and loveandimprovfilm on Instagram. I would lick the poll.
It's true.
There it is.
That's how you can help us. Well, I want to say thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you didn't kill your family over the Thanksgiving table unless they deserved it, and it was ritual combat to become the head of the household, which some people do. I get that. But we appreciate you listening, and we look forward to being in your presence again soon. So until next time, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chad, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week. And recording has stopped. Do. Oh, that was fun. That was fun.
Did you know that squirt is pee? And did you also know that I don't care?
These are facts. These are facts. These are facts.
Oh my God, I'm going to puff.
I love these so much. My biggest flaw is that I want to use them even when it doesn't work. I just want to hear them. Punish his butt. I want to hear it. So this has been my TED Talk.
You gotta go to the Soundboard Academy, and you got to get certified.
That's right. Can't do that without a license.
Yeah.
You don't want to hurt people with this shit.
Yeah.
That's how bad things happen. You know what I mean?
You can't just be throwing these around, Doug.
That's bullshit. It's irresponsible. What about think of the kids? Think of the kids.
Think of the
machines. What would they say?
Right.
What would they do? At the end of the day,
you gotta think of the kids. What would the kids say if you played the wrong soundbite at the wrong time?
Surprise, motherfucker.
Is there an accent? Is that just the narrator?
That's just the narrator, yeah.
That was 100%. I think the AI is learning how to do accents like you do accents.
Oh, no.
I don't know. That there was something slightly English, maybe Welsh, Scottish-y. There was something from that side of the world in there, and I did not like it. It was morphing itself as you were talking, and I did not like it.
The AI is very strange. It's definitely, it's an odd one.
It definitely developed an accent. Go back and listen to that. There was something there.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's like this. It says it's in beta, by the way. It's not a finished product. They're working on it. So
I wonder if more people from the UK are using it, and so it's starting to learn like that's how things should sound.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that you can do with this stuff, but yeah, it's definitely it's a work in progress. That's for sure.
Every time you bust that voice out, something new happens with it, and I
love it.
I'm here for it. I'm
Same.
excited for it.
I'm here for it. Absolutely. All right, gang. Well, I hope you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you survive time with your families. Hopefully no one is too much of a douchebag. Hope you have some great food. Hopefully the turkey's not dry,
Which is a thing.
It's going to happen. Not in my house. I'm branding my turkey starting tomorrow, baby. And I'm going to smoke that shit. I'm going to smoke that turkey.
Smoke that turkey.
Fucking turkey. But I hope you all have a really great holiday. No video game stream this week. I just don't want to work it into my schedule. Just too much going on. So we'll be back next Tuesday for the next episode. So until then, keep it crispy.